Hey guys, welcome back to the compound. In this video, I'll be repainting this Mattel Ampelosaurus. I think I got that right. I've never heard of this one before, but he looks really cool. And the first time I saw it, and I saw all the really awesome looking rocky textures all over it, I knew immediately the repaint I wanted to do. Now, some repaint ideas are hard to think up and others come really easily, especially when the figure has really nicely sculpted details on it like this one here. So as you can see, this big guy has all kinds of spikes and osteoderms popping out, which really makes it a prime candidate to throw down some super easy dry brushing. And for this one, I wanted to go with sort of a rhino elephant vibe for inspiration, focusing heavily on a solid gray skin tone and using various gray colors to give it a cool sort of granite rock-like deco. So if this is something that you'll be following along with me on, I'll just be using some basic apple barrel paints to build up the gray skin tone, as well as some light airbrushing on the underside. And the way I like to do dry brushing is to just have a variety of different shades of the particular color I'm using to pick from, and then just work my way up from darkest to lightest for that final highlight color. So in terms of the repaint, this will be a very basic repaint. I'm going to kind of keep it relatively easy. So if you are a beginner, or if this is your first time here on the channel and the first video you're watching, you should be able to pick up pretty easy on what I'm doing. And also keep in mind that this will work for any color. It doesn't have to just be the gray that I'm using. Just make sure that you find the corresponding colors that you'll need from darkest to lightest. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything resituated, and we'll start slinging some paint on this guy. So I'll start off base coating with the darkest color first, which is this pavement gray. And I've got the paint in a cup, and I've already cut the paint with water to help it flow onto the figure better. And I'm also using a big brush to help the paint get down into all the little nooks and crannies, since this guy is a big figure and has a ton of detail, and the bigger brush will just kind of help to get the paint down quicker. Normally I would just airbrush this color down, but for the sake of the video, I just wanted to show you that basing it with a brush is pretty simple to do. So if you don't have an airbrush, you can still make and create some really cool repaints just by hand. With the dark gray down, now it's time to start building up some of the lighter gray highlights, and this part is pretty much the same thing over and over and over, so I'm not going to focus too much time on it, but I am just starting off with my second gray color. It's sort of a medium gray, and I'm just heavy-handed hitting all of the raised areas all over the surface, kind of working my way around the figure until everything gets hit with that medium gray. And as the colors get lighter each go round, the pressure I'm using gets lighter and lighter as well, and also the amount of paint on the brush does get lighter as I keep going up with brighter colors, and the final highlight color will just be hitting the very tips and edges of all the raised areas just very lightly, just enough to make all the little details pop. Now with all of that done, I am going to jump over to the airbrush and load it up with some beige to lighten up the underside. Now this type of fade is not something I can do by hand to get the same sort of finish as I can with the airbrush, but if you are feeling froggy and you want to just take some beige paint, you can possibly just kind of dry brush this beige color on very lightly. You may not get the same effect as you would with the airbrush, but it would probably be close enough to get the idea across. Now I'm going to grab some flesh wash, and I'm going to drop that into my airbrush and apply a light glaze over the skin tone to add some warmth to that underside. This could also be done by hand, but it would take a little bit longer, and the airbrush just speeds up this process and does make it a lot quicker. Now to finish up with all the final details, and there really isn't a whole lot left, I'm actually not going to paint the inside of the mouth. I'm just going to leave that factory because the colors look good the way that they are. So all that's really left to do is paint the eyes, and I wanted them to have a real chill, sort of docile cow appearance. So I'm just going to throw down some rust brown first on the eyeball, and then follow it up with a big black dot and a white light catch, and then I'll just gloss them up to give them that wet look, and I will seal this big guy up with some matte varnish, and he is ready to roll. So as always, I appreciate you guys hanging out and watching. I hope you found this video helpful and inspiring in some way, shape, or form. If you give this one a shot, remember to tag me over on Instagram at the Jurassic Park compound, because I always love seeing the repaints that you guys can come up with. For more Jurassic related content, you know where to find me. Links will be in the description box below. You guys take care, and I'll see you around the compound.